The Gamestop saga starts once again. For those who do not know, let's take you back to a little story. It's called GME, also known as GameStop. That's just a ticker symbol, GME for stocks. But when it comes to the GameStop stock specifically, 2 years ago, just about a group of retail traders, I guess we can to an extent, small extent, say led by everyone's the infamous Roaring Kitty, also known as Keith Gill. And we gonna say led by him only to an extent because he was the only one who really put out a full synopsis and analysis and given full detail and why he felt himself, why the share and the price of GameStop stock at the time that it was trading at the price that it was, why it should not have been valued at that price, and why he felt it should be valued at a higher price, and they could potentially be valued at a higher price and make more money, and they would potentially not go bankrupt. And he was explaining and giving all his analysts and reasons to why he felt and believed this stuff. And all of this is still on his YouTube. But initially, it kind of started back then with him and his YouTube and Reddit boards and the people that were following, and just, they would see the traction. So around this time, a little after he initially started and, was spending his own money, doing his own little thing, a little of everybody else started kind of, people started to see what was going on. And for me personally, around this time when it was kind of happening, I was in stocks too, and I was kind of noticing the little change from, not from GameStop stock, but from AMC stock, because initially around this time, before it even really started moving, GameStop was at like $2, and I watched, I remember looking at AMC at like under $1 or around $2, and I'm just like, wow. And this is all before the AMC stuff going on. I was like, wow, I know of AMC, like, I could afford $1 or $2 at the time, but I didn't buy it when I was saying that. But just seeing that at $1 is like, it just made me think like, why is this at $1? But anyway, around that time and me, noticing AMC at $1, that was after that day again, I did not buy, but I ended up seeing and started hearing about GameStop. And, that's when around the time GameStop went from a price from like $2, $5 to like 50. From 50, it went to 100. From 100 to basically 2 to 300. From 300 to 4 something as its max. In a few day time period, probably week. And, it was able to, it ended up fluctuating and making news. And, going through a whole period and a whole time period and a whole turn of events happened in this time period, 2020, 2021, where retail traders, retail investors became knowledgeable about how to invest in stocks, the mechanics of how to invest in stocks and how it operates and what happens from the point or moment when you invest your money into any stock. Regular people, not hedge funds, not people who were doing this for days and years. Regular people sat home and figured this stuff out and tried to figure this stuff out only because at this time, and again, when the price was running up, a lot of them people encountered an issue where trading platforms, hedge funds, and all the big players that on the mechanical side, they kind of to an extent banded together and stopped trading. Robinhood specifically got caught up in the misfire, and people basically stopped using Robinhood. So if you are somebody who uses Robinhood and you know anybody that uses Robinhood, they probably do not know what's going on. They probably or somebody's new. Anybody who was in the field and know what's going on, they do not invest in GameStop. They don't use GameStop. I mean, they don't use Robinhood brokers. They only, to an extent, if they still got it and was back with it back then, only really using it for options and, to keep whatever they really have. But outside of that, everybody switched brokerages and, moved on just because of what happened. So if you're not even on a different brokerage because of that, you can't even really be speaking on stuff because you don't know what was going on. You wasn't here, and you had to really kind of be there to understand what was going on. And the great and powerful thing about this time and what's going on now, you kind of, the history's already set in. The stuff is set in. People who's already been buying for years, people who's already got the mindset and the, the grit, like, we can, if this go to zero, people's willing to let it go to zero and still hold it at zero and wait to potentially go back to $1. There's people who's been doing this stuff and investing and holding for years, if not years, but years to an extent. It felt like years and not even years, but, waiting or willing to hold for years just because of everything that was going on. So for the new people that's just coming in, you going to wake up on Monday morning this week, whatever week, and you got a chance to see people spending so much money on GameStop shares and people talking about GameStop. You might hear AMC and all these little stuff. You hear people calling meme stocks. They call them the meme stocks. Don't listen to these people. But it's just like, there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is kind of the perfect time for anybody who don't know about nothing. You don't know about nothing. You can get informed right now from all the long history and not even really get informed. You could just really be in and get lucky just because of everything that everybody else kind of built up and put their work and effort into, and you just, you just coming in and saying, hey, I got a few dollars. I wasn't here when they was here, but, I'm in it to do a little something and try to figure something out. And once again, the GameStop saga continues. So I hope you got some information, you learned, you're ready, and you're prepared. Because money will be made and lost.